We are back with a stunning example of what a difference a year makes in combating crime. During Obama's last year in office, the killing of police officers by gunfire hit a 5-year high. Now, under President Trump, those killings are down by a remarkable 34%, according to the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial Fund. One big difference may be a simple change in attitude, according to a former high-ranking FBI official.
Well, look, since the days of his campaign, the president went out of his way to thank the men and women in law enforcement for their sacrifice and say that effectively, I stand with you. That is 180 degrees away from the last few years, really going back to 2009 of the Obama administration, where the presumption was that the police were racist, the police did something wrong until proven innocent. And I think that tone, maybe we're sensing or feeling a Trump effect now.
He says a Trump effect. Well, there's more good news. The violent crime rate is down in the nation's 30 largest cities, including the murder rate, according to a study by NYU's Brennan Center for Justice. Violent crime down by 1.1%. Even better news, the murder rate in America's biggest 30 cities dropped by 5.6%. That includes an 11.9% decline in Chicago, which has had a lot of attention, obviously, for many years, and a 9.8% drop in Detroit. Is this encouraging trend here to stay, and does President Trump deserve the credit? Let's ask journalist Heather McDonald, the author of last year's critically acclaimed book, The War on Cops: How the New Attack on Law and Order Makes Everyone Less Safe. Also joining us is Michael Tobman, a Democratic strategist and former senior aide to Senator Chuck Schumer. Thank you both for joining us this evening. Heather, let me start with you. The previous sound bite that we played, said that the presumption that the police are racist is the way maybe a couple of years ago, and whether it was Black Lives Matter and Barack Obama's presidency, juxtapose that with President Trump. I think we could all would say, hey, he has the presumption that the police are heroes that deserve they deserve his backing and our backing. How much does that ethos affect these rates, or could it?
Well, there's been a sea change in both rhetoric and policy, Pete. It's extraordinary because we did go through 8 years where President Obama took every opportunity to reinforce the false Black Lives Matter narrative that we're living through an epidemic of racially biased police shootings of black men. That resulted in real demoralization among our police forces and depolicing. Officers were reluctant to get out of their cars and make that stop at 2 a.m., questioning somebody hanging out on a known drug corner, hitching up his waistband as if he has a gun, because they were fearful the media, the mainstream media, would label them as racist. Today, we have a Justice Department led by Attorney General Sessions, who is trying to reverse some of the anti-cop policies of the Obama administration, and Trump is not serving as an echo chamber for Black Lives Matter movement. I hope that what is going on is that cops are going back to proactive policing, and we can hope that more black lives will be saved this year than were lost in the last 2 years.
Certainly the trends look like that may be the case. Michael, I've never walked the beat as a cop, but I have walked the beat on patrol in the military. And if you don't believe in your mission, or you don't think your commander has your back, or your morale, your confidence is low, you are far less likely to be aggressive or take that proactive measure. How much of that morale or confidence and the restoration of it with this president focusing on it, how much might that actually matter at the ground level?
I think it actually is from the ground level up and not the top down. I think changes in policy with political appointments and even the occupant of the White House does have some say on this. I agree with that point, but I would disagree on many others. I think it's actually to the credit of local policing, city by city. In each of those cities, you discussed those very startling, very encouraging drops in violent crime.
Of course, it's local policing. I totally agree with you.
But yes, morale has a big part of it, and I think that people that whether it's their Patrolmen's Benevolent Association here in New York City, or the police commissioner, or a mayor, and we see constant controversy and tension between the New York City PBA and Mayor de Blasio. But I really think it's a credit to the local policing, and I think attributing it solely to the tough on crime rhetoric of candidate Trump and then President Trump does local policing.
So certainly, I don't think you can. Good point. You can't credit it all to the president, but you almost can imagine, what if Colin Kaepernick had taken a knee during the Obama presidency? Would he have been invited to the White House and lauded as a hero? Instead, he was called out specifically by President Trump. Law enforcement officers and police officers love the fact that he's a Blue Lives Matter guy, not a Black Lives Matter guy. But that does trickle down. A local guy on the beat really does care whether or not he's going to be seen as guilty before the action is even taken.
Right. I think that's an excellent example. I would also just point to some of the policies, and I agree that policing is fundamentally a local phenomenon. Nevertheless, there's things that Attorney General Sessions has done that are also sending a very powerful message to cops. He has tried to free departments from the unnecessary and costly consent decrees that the Obama administration put on. He has said to U.S. prosecutors, we want you to go after violent felons and drug felons without worry about the pseudo mass incarceration narrative being used against you. And again, these things are both effective in themselves and they do send a message to cops. Of course, policing and a drop in crime is due to the local cops on the ground, but the narrative matters, and an echo chamber in the White House for a false narrative did a heck of a lot of damage over the last couple of years to the law-abiding residents of inner-city neighborhoods.
I stand corrected, by the way. Colin Kaepernick first kneeled when Barack Obama was president, but the effect, of course, was amplified during this presidency.
None of this should gloss over that there are very real and very serious and historically rooted tensions between law enforcement and professional policing and communities of color throughout the country. That being said, I think that some credit is also due to those in the activist community who realized that their message was being lost in this awful, tragic violence in which law enforcement professionals were losing their lives. Nobody wants that. It was just a tragedy every time that it happened, and I think people understood.
Does that happen though without being called out? Does that happen naturally, or is that?
And that is where I would say that candidate Trump was perhaps uniquely positioned to deliver a message that other candidates felt constrained and unable to deliver. On that point, I would agree, but on the others, I think it's a consequence of local policing.
Well, we've got to leave it right there. A couple of very informed opinions here. Heather McDonald, Michael Tobin.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here tonight. Appreciate it.